Welcome to my show on the YouTube highway. I got all you need. I'm gonna do it my way. Just listen up now. You can turn it up loud to hear my cool album review. Hold on for a good time. I don't need no sad. I got a song for the ages. You be a good or bad. You need the info. You find it here. Just move over the fast lane. Shift your gears. I'm thinking it to ya from me to you. Cool album review. Cool album review.
Hey guys, it's Joey with Cool Album Reviews back with another review. Today we are going to be reviewing a classic, Music from Big Pink by the band. It's the debut release by the band in 1968 on Capitol Records, produced by John Simon. This album, first of all, the band is one of the pioneering rock acts of the 60s and 70s up until 1976, but this is going to be a review of their debut album. The band actually started in the late 50s, I believe 1959, as the Hawks. With Ronnie Hawkins, they started playing the rockabilly circuits in the Arkansas area, and they made a name for themselves as teenagers as the backing band for Ronnie Hawkins. And then a few years later, they teamed up with Bob Dylan and toured the United States and Europe with Bob Dylan in the mid-60s when Bob Dylan first went electric. There is a famous show where they were booed and Bob Dylan told them to play fucking loud on the last song. He turned to him and said that, and it was like the punk rock of the day. And then they were booed, and Bob Dylan was really discouraged. So they went home, and Bob Dylan retired. Actually, he got into a serious motorcycle accident and was injured real bad. So he had to take some time off, and then he decided to record music with the band just for the fun of it. He decided to get out of the rock star life for a while, and they recorded about 80 to 100 songs, which became a collection known as the Basement Tapes. And there were several volumes of that. But during that time, Rick Danko and Robbie Robertson Rick Danko on bass, Robbie Robertson on guitar, Garth Hudson on the organ, Richard Manuel on the piano, and Levon Helm playing drums. They decided that they were going to form a band, and they decided to start writing songs. And out of it came Music from Big Pink, which is one of the greatest rock albums of all time, and probably one of their best albums of all time. And next we're going to talk about favorite tracks or standout tracks. This album opens with a song called Tears of Rage, which is sang by Richard Manuel. It was written by Bob Dylan and Richard Manuel for the band's for music from Big Pink, and everybody has a certain theory as to what it's about, but um, I get the feeling that it's about the slaves and how um, we fought for them, and it's kind of a betrayal kind of song, like we fought for you, but now you put us back on a shelf kind of thing. Um, and it's really soulful. Richard Manuel's vocal really uh, stands out on this one. It's a great melody, great song all the way around, and probably my favorite on this one. There's a lot of great stuff, but uh, this is probably at least in my top five favorite albums of or songs on this album. And then it goes into a song called "To Kingdom Come," which is one of the only songs that Robbie Robertson actually sang lead with Rick Danko on, which I thought was interesting. Another great song. It kind of gives me like a Grateful Dead vibe almost, but then again, it was the '60s, and a lot of bands were kind of following each other, and maybe that's part of what it was. But it did kind of give me a kind of a Grateful Dead vibe. And probably another favorite of mine on this one is In a Station, which is uh, another uh, another really soulful track. I believe Richard Manuel sang that he sang a lot on this record. He kind of had that whiskey soaked soul rhythm and blues kind of voice, and it just kind of uh, really stands out on this. It's almost like he's crying and delivering this message of the song, and it's just uh, a really great tune all the way around. Another one I really like about on this one is "We Can Talk." Uh, um, it's hard for me to decipher what a lot of these songs are about because I'm a younger generation. I was listening to the band when I was growing up. My parents had this album and I listened to it all the time, and The Last Waltz still remains one of my favorite concert films of all time. And I just didn't really understand where they're coming from on some of these, but I know that the music is really really good, and it's just something that influenced me. Robbie Robertson's songs and his guitar work are very very prominent in my influences as an artist. Um, but the lyrics were kind of set to the time, so it's kind of hard for me to decipher what it's about because everything is kind of different now. But they're good songs anyway. Another one I really like on here is Chest Fever, which is a good rockin' tune. It features Garth Hudson's organ just leaping out of your speakers at the beginning there. Um, and I wanna revert back for a second to In a Station because there are so many elements on this that that I like. kind of made on In a Station. It's kind of a carnival intro, I would call it, because it sounds like a carnival almost at the carnival music at the beginning, and then it goes into this really ballady kind of soulful thing. But Chest Fever's kind of the same way. It's got this Garth Hudson and his organ had kind of a carnival quality to it, in my opinion. Um, another great track, of course. If you're a fan of the band, you know this one is "The Weight." Um, it's a great track, and I get the feeling that this song is kind of about Jesus in a certain way. You know, basically telling people to go do this and go do that. It's kind of like worry about your own problem, you know, kind of thing. And it's like take the load off Annie and put the load right on me. That's kind of my theory about it, but I don't know how you all feel. Um, Another one I really like on here is Long Black Veil, another Rick Danko tune that he sang. It's really great, and it's like I said, lyrically, some of these are kind of beyond me, but the music itself is just fantastic, and it's kind of one of these things where you kind of have to listen a few times and develop your own kind of theories about what they may be talking about. But that's a great song, and I also like the closing track on this, which is called "I Shall Be Released." And this is actually a song that Bob Dylan wrote before he retired, and it was actually one of the last songs that he recorded before the accident. And it's it's kind of, to me, like somebody wanting a way out of a life. You know, they say everything can be replaced. They say every distance is not near. You know, just some of the lyrics here kind of symbolize that. And I think that he was looking for a way out of the rock star life and didn't know how to get there. But he knew that he had to do it or he was gonna die. Um, that's kind of the vibe I get off of this one, and all of those are probably my favorite tracks. There are a couple more. The Wheels on Fire is one. There's a few on here um, that I won't say I didn't like them. It's a great album all the way around. But those are probably my favorite tracks that I've on this one. Ratings on this, I would have to give this album a 10 out of 10 across the board, because it's not only one of my favorite albums of all time, it's very smart. It's very well put together, very well written, very well produced. It's just a great album of all time, and um, I definitely recommend it to anyone. If you haven't heard the band, if you're maybe younger like me, and I mean, I've heard of them because I grew up with it, but if you're younger and have not heard the band, I would definitely recommend picking up this album and checking it out, because it is a really great record to listen to. It's kind of relaxed, it's kind of mellow, um, but it has the kind of carnival quality in some spots to it with Garth Hudson's organ. Um, But ratings, I have to give a 10 out of 10 because this is really great. The production is great. The songwriting is great. The artistry is great, and I love their harmonies too. Which the harmonies are an interesting thing because they didn't really know um, conventional or what you would think of as harmony. They just kind of sang what they could sing, and it worked together in this kind of magical combination of voices that was just timeless. And this album is definitely a great track and or a great album. I mean, and I think you definitely should pick this one up if you're interested in rock and roll music. Everybody should check this out. This is probably one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time. That about wraps this one up. But remember, everything you do, do it with passion. Always listen to great music, and I will be sure to tell you whether it's a hit or whether it's shit. And that is it for today. We will be back with another review very soon. I'm sorry I haven't been doing a lot of reviews lately. I've been kind of working on my own album release with my band, and I've just been kind of trying to focus on that. But I am going to get back to doing reviews again very soon. So, in the meantime, play it loud and have fun, guys. We'll see you on the next one.